Some cases can never be solved because they defy explanation. Before we begin, if you enjoy these true stories, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Today, I'm bringing you 4 disturbing experiences that police officers had during their duty. Experiences that never made it into any official report. My name is Marcus, and I'm 38 years old. I've been a police officer in Chicago for 14 years. I've seen a lot in this job. Crimes, accidents, tragedies. I've been trained to stay calm, to observe, to analyze. But what I witnessed in August 2020 during a wellness check call challenged everything I thought I knew about reality. There are things that can't be explained. What I experienced that night changed everything. It was a Thursday evening, around 8 p.m. My partner, Jennifer, and I received a call. Unit 17, we have a wellness check request. Elderly woman, hasn't been seen by neighbors in 3 days. Address is 1247 Oakwood Avenue, apartment 6B. Copy that, en route. We arrived at the building. It was an older apartment complex, 6 floors, well-maintained but aging. We took the elevator to the 6th floor. Apartment 6B. I knocked. Chicago Police. Mrs. Anderson, this is a wellness check. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Mrs. Anderson, we need to verify that you're okay. We're coming in. The building manager had given us a key. I unlocked the door. The apartment was dark, but I could hear something. Music. Old music, like from the 1950s. Frank Sinatra, maybe, playing on a record player. Mrs. Anderson? I called out, turning on my flashlight. We walked through the apartment. Living room, kitchen, everything looked normal. Clean, tidy, photos on the walls. An elderly woman's home. The music was coming from the bedroom. The door was closed. I knocked. Mrs. Anderson, it's the police. We're coming in to check on you. I opened the door, and there she was, Mrs. Anderson, sitting in a chair by the window, wearing a nice dress, pearls. Her hair was done, like she was dressed for a special occasion. Mrs. Anderson? I approached carefully. Ma'am, are you okay? She didn't respond, didn't move. I touched her shoulder gently. She was cold, very cold. Jennifer, call it in. We have a deceased. Jennifer radioed for the coroner while I examined Mrs. Anderson. Based on rigor mortis and body temperature, she'd been dead for at least 2 days. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this with me. You're in an elderly woman's apartment. She's been dead for days, but there's music playing. A record player that should have stopped days ago, still playing, over and over. I walked over to the record player. It was an old model, the kind that doesn't automatically turn off. The record spun slowly. The Way You Look Tonight by Frank Sinatra. But here's what made my blood run cold. The record was completely worn out, scratched, damaged. It shouldn't have been able to play at all, and yet the music came through perfectly, crystal clear. Jennifer, said Marcus from the doorway, look at this. On Mrs. Anderson's nightstand was a photo, a young couple from the 1950s. The man was in military uniform. The woman was Mrs. Anderson, much younger, wearing the same pearl necklace she was wearing now. Next to the photo was a letter. I read it. It was from the military, dated 1953. Regretfully informing Mrs. Anderson that her fiancé, Robert Miller, had been killed in action in Korea. There was also a diary entry, dated 3 days ago. Mrs. Anderson's handwriting, shaky but legible. Today is Robert's birthday. He would have been 92. I'm wearing the dress I was supposed to marry him in, playing our song. I hope he comes for me soon. I've waited 70 years. I'm tired of waiting. And then I heard it. A voice, male, deep, coming from somewhere in the apartment. I'm here now, Dorothy. I'm sorry I'm late. Jennifer and I looked at each other. We were alone in the apartment. The coroner hadn't arrived yet. There was no one else here. We checked every room, every closet. No one. But when we came back to the bedroom, something had changed. Mrs. Anderson's body was smiling. I swear she hadn't been smiling before, but now there was a peaceful smile on her face. And on the record player, a different song had started, one we hadn't heard before. At Last by Etta James, their second favorite according to the diary. The coroner arrived, took Mrs. Anderson away. We filed our report. Elderly woman died of natural causes, alone, heart failure. We didn't mention the voice, or the smile, or the record that shouldn't have been able to play. But I know what happened. Robert finally came for her. 70 years late, but he came. I still work as a cop, but that night taught me something. Love doesn't end with death. Sometimes it just waits. And eventually, always eventually, it finds its way home. But Marcus's experience isn't the only disturbing story I've heard from officers. Recently, I met Sarah, a 33-year-old deputy from Los Angeles. What happened to her in February 2021 during a routine traffic stop made her realize that not everyone on the road is alive. Sarah has been a deputy sheriff for 9 years. She's made thousands of traffic stops, speeders, drunk drivers, everything. It's routine. But that night on the Pacific Coast Highway, she made a stop that was anything but routine. There are things that can't be explained. What I experienced that night changed everything. It was a Saturday night, around 11 p.m. Sarah was patrolling the PCH near Malibu. Beautiful area, winding coastal road, but dangerous at night. People drive too fast. She saw a car ahead, swerving slightly, possible DUI. She hit her lights and siren. The car pulled over. It was an older sedan, maybe from the early 2000s, California plates. Sarah approached the driver's side, flashlight in hand. Standard procedure. Check the driver, ask for license and registration. The driver rolled down the window. It was a young woman, maybe 25. Long dark hair. Pretty, but something was off. Her skin was too pale and wet, like she'd been swimming. "Good evening, ma'am. Do you know why I pulled you over?" "No, officer," the woman said. Her voice was quiet, distant. "You were swerving. Have you been drinking tonight?" "No, I'm just trying to get home." "Can I see your license and registration?" The woman handed them over. Sarah examined them. Emily Chen, age 24, address in Santa Monica. "Miss Chen, where are you coming from tonight?" "The beach. I was at the beach." Sarah looked at her more closely. Emily's clothes were soaking wet. Water dripped onto the car seat. "You went swimming at night?" "Yes. I don't remember. I just need to get home." "You'd feel concerned now. This woman seems confused, disoriented, possibly in shock. You'd call for backup, medical assistance." "Ms. Chen, I'm gonna have you step out of the vehicle. I think you might need medical attention." Emily got out of the car. Water pooled at her feet. She was shivering, but not from cold. More like she was vibrating. Unstable. "Ms. Chen, what happened at the beach?" "I don't know. I was walking by the water. And then, I don't remember. I just woke up in my car, driving home." Sarah called for an ambulance. Something was very wrong. Possible head injury, hypothermia. While they waited, Sarah tried to keep Emily talking. "Do you remember what beach you were at?" "Point Dume. I always walk there. It's peaceful." "Were you alone?" "Yes, always alone." The ambulance arrived. The paramedics checked Emily. And that's when things got strange. "Officer," one of the paramedics said quietly, "this woman has no pulse, and her body temperature is 68 degrees. She should be dead." "What?" "I don't understand it either, but medically speaking, she is dead. Has been for hours." Sarah felt ice run through her veins. That's impossible. She's standing right there, talking. I know, but the equipment doesn't lie. If you're enjoying this, leave a like and tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced something paranormal? You or someone you know? I'd love to read your story. Sarah looked at Emily. Ms. Chen, do you remember anything unusual? Anything at all? Emily looked confused, then scared. I went into the water. I remember now. I went in, and I couldn't get out. The current was too strong. I tried to swim back, but I couldn't breathe. And then she looked down at her hands, realization dawning. I drowned, didn't I? Ms. Chen, I died. I drowned at Point Doom, and now I'm just trying to get home, but I can't, because I'm dead. And then Emily faded, literally faded away, like a photograph losing color, until she was gone. The car she'd been driving vanished too. Sarah and the paramedics stood there in shock. The next day, Sarah investigated. She found news reports. Emily Chen had been found dead at Point Doom Beach that same night, drowned. Time of death, approximately 9 p.m., 2 hours before Sarah had pulled her over. Sarah still works as a deputy, but she doesn't work the PCH at night anymore, because she learned that some people don't realize they're dead. They just keep going, trying to get home, one last time. And speaking of things that don't realize they're over, I need to share what happened to Robert, a 41-year-old detective from New York. In May 2022, he investigated a cold case homicide. What he discovered in the abandoned warehouse made him believe that some murders never truly end. Robert has been a detective for 16 years. He's worked homicides, missing persons, organized crime. He's seen the worst of humanity. But what he experienced in that warehouse in Brooklyn was worse than any living criminal. There are things that can't be explained. What I experienced that night changed everything. Robert was reviewing cold cases. One caught his attention. 1998. 3 gang members found dead in an abandoned warehouse in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Execution-style killings. No witnesses, no suspects. Case went cold. Something about it bothered Robert. He decided to visit the warehouse, see if any evidence had been missed. The warehouse was still abandoned, 24 years later, covered in graffiti, broken windows, but structurally sound enough to enter. Robert went in during the day, but it was dark inside. He used his flashlight. Old machinery, concrete floors, rusted metal, empty. He found the spot where the bodies had been discovered. There were still faint chalk outlines on the floor, bloodstains, faded but visible. Robert was taking photos when he heard voices coming from the back of the warehouse. He drew his weapon. NYPD, who's there? The voices continued, multiple men, arguing. Robert moved toward the sound, cleared each corner carefully, and then he saw them. 3 men, young, maybe early 20s, wearing baggy clothes from the 90s, bandanas, gang colors. They were arguing about money, about territory. "You shorted me," one yelled. "You think I'm stupid?" "Man, the count was right. You're paranoid." "Freeze! NYPD!" Robert shouted. They ignored him, kept arguing. Then a 4th man appeared from the shadows. He was holding a gun. "NYPD, drop your weapon." The 4th man raised his gun, aimed at the 3 men, and fired. 3 shots, 1 for each. All 3 fell. Robert watched in horror. But when he ran to them, there were no bodies, no blood, nothing. The scene reset. The 3 men appeared again, standing, arguing. The 4th man appeared, raised his gun, fired, over and over. The scene replayed. Robert understood. He was watching the murder, the actual murder from 1998, replaying, trapped in this warehouse forever. He tried to see the fourth man's face, the killer, but it was always in shadow, impossible to identify. Robert left the warehouse, did more research, found that several officers over the years had reported strange sounds in that warehouse, voices, gunshots, but nothing ever found. The case remains unsolved. Robert couldn't identify the killer from what he saw. The ghostly replay didn't reveal enough. But Robert knows the truth. In that warehouse, 3 young men die every day, and somewhere in the shadows, a killer fires his gun, again and again, trapped in the worst moment of their lives, forever. And to close out these unsettling accounts, I want to share what happened to Linda, a 45-year-old sergeant from Seattle. In September 2023, she responded to a 911 call from a frantic mother. What she found when she arrived made her understand that sometimes children see things adults can't. Linda has been a sergeant for 18 years. She's responded to thousands of domestic calls. Most are routine, some are heartbreaking, but this one was different. This one made her question the boundaries between our world and whatever exists beyond. There are things that can't be explained. What I experienced that night changed everything. It was a Tuesday night, around 10 p.m. Linda and her partner, Tom, received an urgent call. Unit 9, we have a distressed mother calling about her daughter. 7-year-old girl claims there's a man in her room. Mother checked, found nobody, but child is hysterical, requesting police presence. Copy, en route. They arrived at a nice suburban home in North Seattle. The mother, Karen, was waiting outside, anxious. Thank you for coming. I know it sounds silly, but my daughter Emma won't stop screaming there's a man in her room. I've checked everywhere. There's no one, but she's terrified. Let's take a look, Linda said. They went inside, upstairs to Emma's room. The girl was in her mother's bedroom, wrapped in a blanket, crying. Linda knelt down to Emma's level. Hi, Emma. I'm Sergeant Linda. Can you tell me about the man you saw? He's in my room, Emma whispered. He stands in the corner, by my closet. He just stares at me. What does he look like? He's old and sad, and he's all gray, like a black and white picture. Linda and Tom went to Emma's room. It was a typical 7-year-old's room. Toys, books, posters, pink walls, everything normal. I'll check the closet, Tom said. He opened it. Clothes, shoes, nothing unusual. I'll check under the bed, Linda said. She bent down, shined her flashlight under the bed, and saw a face, an elderly man's face, gray, transparent, staring at her with sad, empty eyes. Linda jerked back, her heart racing. Tom, there's... When she looked again, it was gone. What? Tom asked. I thought I saw something. Linda looked around the room more carefully. That's when she noticed something. The walls. She could see behind the pink paint outlines, like pictures had hung there once and had been painted over. Mrs. Karen, who lived here before you? An elderly couple, the Hendersons. They lived here for 40 years. Mr. Henderson died about 5 years ago. Mrs. Henderson moved to a nursing home shortly after. We bought the house from her estate. Did Mr. Henderson die in this house? Karen's face went pale. Yes, actually. In that room. It was their bedroom. He had a heart attack, died in his sleep. Linda looked at Emma. Emma, the man you see, he's not trying to hurt you, is he? No, he just looks sad, like he's lost. I understood. He is lost, sweetie. This was his room for a very long time, and he's having trouble leaving. Linda asked Karen if she had any photos of the previous owners. She did, an old real estate listing. Linda showed Emma the photo of Mr. Henderson. That's him, Emma said. That's the man in my room. Linda had seen a lot in her career. but this one felt real, undeniable. She spoke to the empty corner of the room. Felt ridiculous doing it, but did it anyway. "Mr. Henderson, if you're here, it's time to go. This isn't your home anymore. Your wife isn't here. You need to move on, find peace." Nothing happened. Linda felt foolish. But that night, Emma slept in her own room for weeks. No problems, no visitors. The next day, Karen called Linda. "I don't know what you did, but Emma says the man is gone. She can feel it. The room feels different, lighter." Linda didn't know what to say. She'd just spoken to empty air, but somehow it had worked. Maybe Mr. Henderson just needed permission to leave, or maybe he needed someone to acknowledge he was there, to see him, to tell him it was okay to go. Linda still works as a sergeant, but now she knows that sometimes, especially when children are involved, you have to believe what seems impossible, because children see things adults have learned not to see, and sometimes what they see is real. If you made it this far, leave a comment telling me which story impacted you most. And if you know someone who enjoys these tales, share the video. See you in the next volume.